It's all back in the news, isn't it? The royals. Prince Harry wants a way in from the cold. Apparently, according to reports, he's been contacting friends and old people he's not been in touch with for a long time since he's been with Meghan, saying, you know, hello, me again. First question is, does he really want to come back in from the cold? And second, does the royal family want him?
It almost broke the internet last week. The fact that Prince William and Prince Harry were in the same space for their late uncle's funeral. They both attended this funeral in Norfolk. Reports say the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Sussex wanted to pay respects to their mother's brother-in-law, Lord Robert Fellows. Harry flew in from the US to join the Spencer family. The Sun said that the brothers made a discreet appearance and sat apart from each other in the back of the church. A local resident was quoted by the Sun saying William and Harry kept their distance and did not speak to each other. Now, initial reports, Rupert, were that Prince Harry would not be there. We debated whether or not we might see Prince William, but we did hear that Prince Harry was not going to be there. So it goes to show how much things can change at the last minute, right?
Well, I think more importantly, it shows the significance of the part Lord Robert Fellows may have played in both the boys' lives, William and Harry. And when you look at where he came from, remember he was the long-standing personal private secretary to the late Queen. Obviously, as you mentioned in your introduction, Diana's brother-in-law. So you can see the sort of royal wheels within wheels, and reflects probably an older time, you know, when you look at Diana was perceived as suitable wife material back in the day. Thankfully, well, whether they should still be doing that, that's open for debate. But if you see what I mean, there was a traditional view that from the aristocracy. But Lord Robert Fellows was a long-standing, he looked after the boys and obviously was a comfort to them and very difficult through the divorce. And he was also the private secretary during that annus horribilis that the late Queen referred to back in the early 90s, when, you know, not only the divorce of Charles and Diana, there was Sarah and the Duke and Duchess of York splitting up, then the Windsor Castle fire. There were all sorts of series of events, and the royal family's popularity was at a pretty low ebb. But I think what it does come down to is that Harry at least shows, you know, some sense of family. And what was really good, it was under the cover of darkness. There was no fanfare, and it only slipped out. And yes, there are local residents saying they sat at the back. I think the local vicar who conducted the service has also been quoted how he was slightly surprised to see them. But it is sad that there they are at their uncle's funeral, and they're almost, you know, they're not like, they don't want to speak to each other. And it's a sad subplot to what, anyway, for many people will be a very sad day. He lived to 82, a good innings, but, you know, still a very sad day for the family at whole. But at least, I suppose, it shows that even in these circumstances, the brothers can at least manage to be in the same room.
Right. I almost wonder, too, if we should give them more credit than just assuming that, and of course, initially, because I was on TV within seconds of the report breaking, initially, you're like, you know, Harry, who is hurting who is shunning who? Harry shuns Prince William shuns Prince Harry. But you get away from the event after a few days and you wonder if it's actually a display of respect towards their family members. We're not going to create drama. We don't want to be the center of attention. We want Lord Fellows to be the focus. We're here to honor his life. And maybe it's not about two brothers that don't get along, but two brothers that have matured enough to realize that it's not about them. And they do need to keep a low profile to honor this individual who was so loyal to the crown and loyal to their family, you know, so loyal to the Queen, and it needs to be about him that day.
Well, I think so much of what needs to be, you know, whenever the Harry William sort of roadshow comes in time, it immediately becomes a distraction. So I am pleased that this occasion has actually gone under the radar. A small family affair. There may be a memorial service at a later date, maybe in London or somewhere to remember him more formally. But in this case, this is the family occasion. And I think the common sense has prevailed that it's quiet, it's unobtrusive. We are honouring a man who served William and Harry's grandmother to great effect. And that's the priority and had to be the priority. So the fact that it slipped out later on is good. And, maybe they might have been able to say hello to each other. But again, it might have been a little frosty, and presumably people were sort of looking over their shoulders, wondering what's going on here. But the main focus, and you're absolutely right, was to honour a man who had served the royal family with distinction.
And I had some say to me, is this a sign that Prince Harry is desperate to come back to the UK? I keep arguing no, and we'll get to that when we get later into Harry and Meghan. I have some thoughts about that, but I also wonder how much of it is Harry really aligning himself with the Spencers, who have continued to support him throughout this difficult time, being separated from the royal family. It's a self-induced exile, but we have seen the Spencers rally around him as he's left the British royal family in that tight fold.
Yes, I think because he's obviously, in Harry's case, he makes great play of his mother and the sort of problems that it resulted, not only from the divorce of his mother, but then obviously the tragic circumstances of her death that left a vulnerable teenager, as he was then, very tender age, scarred. And so I think the Spencer family, and we obviously remember what Earl Spencer did at the funeral and the emotional speech. I mean, he's an interesting character in his own right, is his Harry's uncle. But you have to look at it in overall context, that the Spencer family probably, blood is thicker than water and want to always feel that there is an olive branch. And actually, many of the Dicks are not necessarily much at the Spencer family. They've almost, they're in his eyes, they're the good cop. It's the royal family in Harry's case, and other maybe his brother and others who are the bad cop. The Spencer's good cop and the royal family bad cop.
Prince Harry garnered a reputation for being the royal family's party prince, with reports of heavy drinking and partying, including an incident in 2012 where photos of him playing a game of strip billiards in Las Vegas surfaced. Viva Las Dodger! But seriously, back in 2010, he was so determined not to be papped outside of a nightclub called Embargo, he reportedly snuck into the club through their fire escape, literally Spider-Man. That is a determination to get crunk like we've never seen before. Prince Harry has faced various controversies during his time as a working member, I should say, of the British royal family. But despite hookups with housewives and drinking champagne out of a prosthetic leg, Meghan Markle said, "I pick you."
Yes.
Let's take a look back at some of his wildest moments pre-Meghan Markle. There is nothing sexier than a royal rebel, so when Prince Harry went to rehab for one day, the entire world was like, wait, one day? According to The Guardian at the time, Prince Harry was taken to a drug rehabilitation clinic for a day after Prince Charles discovered he had been regularly smoking cannabis and drinking alcohol. The prince, 16 at the time, was confronted last year by Prince Charles, who then arranged a visit to Featherstone Lodge. St. James Palace told the media this is a serious matter which was resolved within the family and is now in the past and closed. In Spare, Harry refutes these claims, arguing that his father and Camilla's spin doctor decided to throw Harry right under the bus by leaking news of his drug use in 2002. Harry claims Prince Charles actually sent him to rehab in order to garner sympathy for Charles as a father and for their relationship. However, Harry was pretty candid about recreational drug use in the same book. At one point, Harry remembers an incident where a tabloid editor claimed to have pictures of a teenage Prince Harry doing cocaine in an attempt to blackmail him into doing a sit-down interview. The palace called the editor's bluff. No photographs ever surfaced. But Harry admits that he was, in fact, using cocaine at the time, writing, "Of course, I had been doing cocaine around this time. At someone's country house during a shooting weekend, I'd been offered a line and I'd done a few more since. It wasn't much fun, and it didn't make me particularly happy as it seemed to make everyone around me, but it did make me feel different. And that was my main goal, feel different. I was a deeply unhappy 17-year-old boy, willing to try almost anything that would alter the status quo. That was what I told myself anyway. It wasn't just inside the book, but in interviews promoting Spare, Prince Harry discussed his recreational use of magic mushrooms, marijuana, still illegal in Britain, as well as psychedelics as a form of therapy. Former The Real Housewives of DC star Catherine Omany says she had a month-long passionate fling with Prince Harry when he was 21 and she was 34. The Bravo star, who was separated from her ex-husband at the time, said the two met at the Art Bar in London through mutual friends back in May of 2006. She told The Sun Harry was wearing an Australian-style hat that made me laugh, so I asked him, "What are you doing looking like a beep in that?" She recalled. I don't think he was used to people taking the mickey, and once we started talking, it was like there was no one else in the room. After they left the bar, Catherine said they went to a friend's house where Prince Harry made her a bacon sandwich. Sharing, we started play fighting, and I think we were wrestling on and off for about 15 minutes when I told him I needed to go home. She said it was then that he lifted me by my waist off the floor and held me against the wall. He gave me the most incredible, passionate kiss I'd ever had in my life. At the time, Harry was in an on-again, off-again relationship with Chelsea Davy. The couple dated for 7 years, from 2004 until 2011. The reality star said that she went on a few dates with Harry, but the romance stopped once it made headlines. They didn't see each other again until an accidental run-in at a polo match in 2009. She told The Sun, without being arrogant, I think we both quite fancied each other, even though he was way too young for me. She said, adding that she nicknamed him Baby because he was fond of lollipops. If he wasn't a royal and was maybe 10 years older, he would be my perfect man. All the way back in 2011, Rebecca English was covering the quote-unquote Playboy Prince. In a headline titled, "Making a Splash, Nightclub Raver Harry Plunges into Swimming Pool Without Stopping to Undress," the Daily Mail shared videos and screenshots of Prince Harry dancing the night away at a nightclub in Croatia, losing his balance, falling in a pool, then getting out of the pool and continuing to dance the night away. The article says, laughing, he hauled himself out and danced barefoot on the side to the ear-splitting sound of house music as fellow clubbers roared their approval. Harry was later seen at the bar wearing a borrowed white t-shirt with his damp shirt tied around his waist. The prince had flown to Croatia for a mini break with a group of friends on an EasyJet flight on Saturday. He is believed to be staying on a yacht. Yes, Harry, please tell us how horrible your life was as a working member of the royal family. Apparently, Harry carried on dancing as if nothing had happened, despite the fact that he was soaked to the skin. The article says he was joined on the edge of the pool by sometime wingman Skippy, the 24-year-old Bristol economic graduate, according to friends, Harry's partner in crime, and can be seen in his Facebook site in various states of undress. The red-haired live wire is often mistaken for the prince, particularly by girls keen to boast of an encounter with royalty, and Skippy has not been known to dissuade them. Oh, and I like this line. Harry, who recently ended a brief romance with an underwear model, see what they did there? Briefs, underwear. I liked it. In May of 2005, The Guardian wrote that Prince Harry was such a weak student, he was helped to cheat on an exam. The article says former teachers of Prince Harry at Eton College helped him cheat in his A-level art course because he was such a weak student, a tribunal was told yesterday. According to reports, the head of art at Eton allegedly completed work for Prince Harry, which was embarrassingly later published internationally in newspapers credited to Prince Harry. Harry writes in Spare, I was accused of cheating. An art teacher came forward with evidence of cheating, which turned out not to be evidence of cheating. It turned out to be nothing at all. And I was later cleared by the exam board, but the damage was done. He added, the accusation stuck. heartbroken. I wanted to release a statement, hold a press conference, tell the world I did the work. I didn't cheat. The palace wouldn't let me. Harry says I was forced to sit by and say nothing while the papers called me a cheat and a dummy every day. The employment tribunal investigating the claims found no evidence of cheating, but it accepted the prince had received help in preparing his A-level project. The teacher who accused Prince Harry of cheating and claimed she ghost wrote his A-level coursework was awarded £45,000 in damages for unfair dismissal against Eton after the scandal exploded. Dominic West, who would go on to play Prince Harry's father in The Crown, was part of the Commonwealth team walking with Harry as part of the Walking with the Wounded trip in 2013. At the time, Dominic described Harry as a fantastically nice chap and boasted about Harry's handy skills, including building the team latrines. The Wire star said it must have taken him 40 minutes at least to build. They were just fabulous. I would often sit on the latrine thinking, this is a royal flush in every way. But here's where West got in trouble. He told the media that once they reached the South Pole, quote, 2 of the Aussie guys stripped naked and ran around the pole, but most of us, Harry included, just went on a 2-day bender with the Icelandic truck drivers who had brought some lethal home brew with them. There was a lot of liquor drunk. We all drank champagne out of Duncan's, Slater, a double amputee injured in Afghanistan in 2009, who was on the British team's favorite prosthetic legs. The cherry on top, Dominic shared that Harry told some eye-watering rude jokes, which for a non-soldier like me was pretty shocking. While Dominic, an ambassador for the Prince's Trust, meant all of his comments in good fun, he revealed in 2023 that Prince Harry did not take them that way. In an interview with Times Radio, he admitted, I said too much in a press conference, and so he didn't speak to me after that. Remember in 2004 when Prince Harry took on a group of paparazzi waiting for him outside of a nightclub? Harry scuffled and did in multiple injuries. A spokesperson at the time said Prince Harry was hit in the face by a camera as photographers crowded around him as he was getting into a car. In pushing the camera away, it's understood that a photographer's lip was cut. That is one of the bad boy origin stories I think I remember as a younger girl. Prince Harry fighting photographers. Thanks to Spare, we were not spared the details of the night Prince Harry lost his virginity to an older woman. Harry described the event as a humiliating episode with an older woman who liked macho horses and who treated me like a young stallion. According to the Daily Mail, Prince Harry has actively sought advice from trusted former aides in the UK on how to quote-unquote mastermind a return from a self-induced exile in the great state of California. Sources told the Mail Prince Harry is consulting people from his old life as a working royal after allegedly growing dissatisfied with advice from American-based image experts. This is considered the first stage in a strategy to rehabilitate Prince Harry, involving him spending more time in the UK to repair his relationship with his father and potentially initiate a partial return to the royal fold. From perpetual rebranding to rehabilitating, lots of going on here. The Mail also sensationally broke the news that H&M had consciously uncoupled with their 10th Archewell employee. Apparently, Christine Wheel Shermer started working for Harry and Meghan in 2020, shortly after their Freedom flight as head of communications, but Christine boarded her own Freedom flight late last year when she quietly made her exit. A source told the Mail Harry is turning away from all sorts of Hollywood publicists and is seeking counsel from his old friends and associates. He is clearly reaching out thinking, I need to do something different because what I'm doing is clearly not working. In short, he is rethinking the way he operates. This matches up pretty perfectly with an email I got last week that said, one of my sources revealed that Meghan and Harry are going to be working their way around Britain on a PR campaign. Wanted to know your thoughts on it, and if you heard anything about how Harry and Meghan plan on campaigning to change the public opinion of them. My thoughts were thoughts and prayers. I love how the article says at least one of the advisors approached by Harry as a trusted figure from the old school, known for loyalty and discretion. Well, maybe before that article came out. One source told the publication they believed if Harry went back to the UK with zero fuss, zero publicity, and attended very mundane events, he could prove himself and win over the British public again. However, the nearly 10,000 comments underneath the article say otherwise. One user says almost 9,000 comments and 99% of them are the same opinion, that H should never be included in the royal family. There is nothing more to say. Nothing more to say, but plenty more comments. One reader suggested, first step has to be an unsolicited apology and acceptance that his public disloyalty was wrong on every level. Good luck with that. Another comment read, it is not uncommon for individuals who have failed to achieve self-sufficiency to return to their parents' basement. In this instance, the motivation seems to be financial instability rather than a desire to reconnect with family or demonstrate loyalty to one's country. That's pretty scathing. Here's a different theory in the comment section. I think there is a divorce imminent, and she will take him to the cleaners. Yikes. One user writes, I really do not understand why the male writers keep pursuing this idea as it is so unpopular. And if it happened, could be the beginning of the end of the monarchy in the UK. Most of the public, at least, are not fooled by what Harry and Meghan really want, the half-in, half-out role that was refused the first time. This includes taxpayer-funded security, of course. Straight to the point. Another user commented, if he is seeking a purely personal reconciliation with his father, that is up to the two of them. But there can be no return in any way to a public role as a member of the royal family. And whatever happens, he should be removed from the line of succession. Now here's the sassy take. The monarchy has survived for 1,000 years. Some two-bit actress thought she could bring it down. Well, that didn't work out, did it? They will never allow those two limpets back in any official capacity, that's for sure. Another user suggests, if Harry is concerned about public image, the first thing he needs to do is take his children and go meet his father-in-law. Any reconciliation in Great Britain does not seem sincere unless he's willing to turn over a new leaf and mend fences with the side of the family that isn't wealthy. Some are considering this Harry's come to Jesus, saying it sounds like it has dawned on Harry that their multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix will not be renewed and he wants to partially return to the UK. That sounds like the half-in, half-out offer he and the actress proposed just before they abandoned their royal responsibilities, which the late Queen turned down. As far as rehabilitating himself is concerned, he needs to be told in no uncertain terms he will never again be thought of as fondly by the British public as he once was. Do you agree with that statement? Let me know in the comments below. I did notice that a significant amount of these comments were coming from the UK and were not American royal watchers. One user warns, I'm a lifelong royalist, but if he has any royal engagements, this will be under serious review. Another predicts William will put his foot down, and that will be the end of it. No way can Charles go against William, particularly after he and Kate have practically carried the monarchy through the last few years, not to mention that they are its future. Charles, understandably, is sentimental about losing Harry, but he is no fool. Short and simple, grifter's gonna grift. And hilariously, no, I'd rather have Andrew back. Not on my bingo card. Tom Cruise being dragged into the debate. One reader writes, time for Tom Cruise to step forward. It is almost mission impossible to rescue H. To which someone replied, there are some missions Cruise can't even pull off. Savage. Spilled out my pumpkin spice beverage after reading this one. He wants to come back in from the cold. His poor frozen Todger can't take it anymore. One user disagreed that the king would fold, saying Charles may still love Harry, but his loyalty is with his caring, loving, and dear son and daughter-in-law, Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. It would be so hard for Charles to forgive the treacherous two over the hurt and distress they have caused to William and Catherine. Plus, our dear late Queen, and Prince Philip. And last but not least, he's a professional victim and will never change. That was my first reaction when I read the article. Plus, with the hyper leak of information coming out of the Sussex camp in the last few weeks, I look at this story and think, does Harry sincerely miss his home and family? Or does Harry, the perpetual victim, want us to think he misses his home and family so we will sympathize with him? Victimhood has been very lucrative for Has. In an article titled Harry's Midlife Crisis as Prince Turns 40 and Remains Estranged from Family, Old Friends Say He Is Lost. Page 6 reveals that Meghan Markle is planning a blowout birthday bash for Prince Harry's 40th. That's all it says about the party, no details, but I'd honestly rather spend my birthday party with my brothers than Serena Williams. Sorry, not sorry. The article, clearly coming from a Sussex source, continues to put the blame on Prince William, with the source saying William is not speaking to Harry. Harry is not the issue here. Every time I read quotes like that, I think to myself, his wife is fighting cancer. How do you lack so much self-awareness? Contrary to the Daily Mail's report, page 6 writes, as Harry turns 40, sources say he has become more comfortable in California and within his life. One quote says, I think he has his convictions and he is determined, but I also think he's more unburdened than before. Curiously, the anonymous friend was not as forthcoming when it came to Meghan Markle's future. When asked about the much-hyped launch of American Riviera Orchard, the source said, that is a whole other story.
Rather sad where his life has gone to. Yes, he goes away in a publicity with the Netflix documentary, Spare the Book, and all the sort of drama about what caused the split. But now, once he's done all these tell-all bits, and okay, the paperback's coming out shortly of Spare, to the relief of the royal family, there are no add-ons to it.
Yes.
But he doesn't know where to go since he's done all this, and he's the rudderless one, and he's missing his old life. Now, to the extent of how he's going to get back into royal life, because there really isn't a half-in, half-out option, because the royal family wouldn't want that. Either you're in or you're out. And that's what problem he's created for himself. Where's it going to lead for him? And yes, he's ostracized himself from many of his friends who didn't understand what he was doing and couldn't make head nor tail of it. And he excluded those friends from his inner circle in Montecito. And now he's suddenly missing that life because actually he's looking at the future and wondering, what am I going to do in California? It's fine for my wife to do all these internet things, but actually for me, this is not what I'm about. And now he's suddenly finding himself to be a bit lonely. But this was always going to be the case, as you quite rightly pointed out at the start.
Is it just inevitable, do you think? You say it was always going to be the case, and has it just taken Prince Harry perhaps a little bit longer than perhaps the rest of us to actually get our head around this and realise, you know, your relevance as a royal, when you sort of leave the royal family to all intents and purposes, move to California, your relevance every single day becomes a bit less and less, and your only currency really is your connection to your former life. That is why people want to talk to you. That's why people want to do business with you. That's why people want to do podcasts with you and books and all the rest of it. That is the currency you have. And my sense, and I could be totally wrong, Rupert, but I wonder what you think about it. My sense was that Harry and Meghan, perhaps convinced by Meghan, maybe it was him himself, I don't know, thought actually there's more to me than being a royal, but actually no one's really interested in that, are they?
No, and you've got to have something about you. His being in royal family opens doors, because it's not just about being a member of the royal family, it's the whole trappings that go with that and the significance of the royal family, maybe not only on a scale in Britain, but on a global scale. Now, of course, he's done these quasi-royal tours, but they just have looked a little bit tacky, particularly the one recently in Colombia. And that's the problem for him. He wants to do it, but his stock is going down all the time. And unless he can find a sense of purpose, then I think he's going to continually feel that he's going to be harking back to his former life, which, let's be honest, he had everything before him. He could have had the world at his feet if he'd stuck it out. But it really, for all intents and purposes, the person who didn't want to stick it out was his wife, who didn't like being basically going around doing this stuff because it was unpaid, as it were, and she wants to monetize everything. As we've seen, she's just been coming out with quotes and saying, look, as soon as I wear a dress, it shifts millions of them. But that was ever thus. And now she's going into sort of business with these clothes manufacturers. She's commercializing her status. But being the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in America, where titles count for nothing, does seem to be the wrong move and will become increasingly irrelevant. Their children are the prince and princess, which seems again out of kilter in America. But Harry is starting to miss those friends who were important to him at various stages in life. And he's probably missing his father. He might even be missing his brother. But that is a relationship that will take some healing.
We had some good news this week, and that good news was that he, through friends, said, don't believe a word of it. I don't want to come back to Britain. I want to stay exactly where I am because I'm very, very happy in Montecito, the land of giants.
Well, it was convenient that that story was leaked through Harry's friends after over 10,000 people left comments on dailymail.com telling him he wasn't welcome back in the UK. Like, immediately, I felt like that was a reaction to realizing that that wasn't really an option for him. And not only is it not an option for him when it comes to Prince William and King Charles, likely, it's not an option for him when it comes to, you know, the people of the UK. They feel betrayed. They feel really hurt by Harry and Meghan's actions. And I don't think that they're ready to forgive Harry and Meghan yet, because they haven't shown any. It's always the blame game. They're always blaming other people, and they haven't taken responsibility for anything they've done over the last few years.
No, they really haven't. And this morning, I know this might seem trivial to you, but it's very important to us over here on this side of the Atlantic. Prince William is on the front page of a couple of papers, including the Daily Telegraph today. I show you this picture because I want you to have a look at it. He's got a bit of stubble going on. He had a bit of a beard earlier in the summer. He shaved that off, but he's sort of got this kind of what we might call designer stubble, kind of Miami Vice style designer stubble. Harry, of course, famously has got his red beard. I'm not a fan of beards. I don't know about you as a woman, whether you like men with beards. I don't like them. I don't trust them. I think anyone with a beard is usually hiding something.